Donald Trump's administration is collapsing before his very eyes. His Jeffrey Epstein scandal continues to dominate headlines no matter how hard he tries to change the subject. His economic policies are idiotic and collapsing all around him. And on top of that, his effort to steal the midterms, knowing how unpopular he is, has only backfired because of Democratic governors standing up to him. And for that reason, Trump is doing the only thing he knows to do in a time like this: take those tiny little fingers of his to Truth Social and melt down. And that was caused this time by one of our favorite hosts at MSNBC, and we're going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into this nonsensical Trump post and Maddow making fun of him for it, we need to see what started this all off, and that was Lawrence O'Donnell calling out the idiotic economic policies of Trump in this clip right here.
The August 2024 revision by the Bureau of Labor Statistics reduced the number of jobs created by 818,000. That number landed in August and was in fact harmful to the Harris campaign and very helpful to the Trump campaign. Our next guest, Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Krugman, writes in his column on Substack, quote, "Trump's claim that disappointing economic numbers are fake news disseminated by radical leftists is ugly nonsense, but it was also predictable. Claiming that economic data you don't like is fraud perpetrated by a deep state conspiracy has been standard practice on the right for a long time, going back to the inflation truthers of the Obama years. When inflation temporarily surged under Joe Biden, I'm not aware of any Democratic-leaning economist inside or outside the administration who denied the reality of the inflation numbers, let alone attributed them to a political conspiracy. The paranoid style in American economics is very much a right-wing thing. And because on today's right, every accusation is a confession, I predicted even before Trump took office that his administration would do what he falsely accused the Democrats of doing and begin manipulating economic data. And this means that when the economy starts to have serious problems, Trump won't even admit that bad things are happening, let alone make a serious effort to fix those problems.
It is not uncommon for Donald Trump to attack the hosts that he so hates by saying that they're never watched, they're unlikable, their ratings are terrible. And of course, that's the accusation he always levies against a Stephen Colbert, a Jimmy Kimmel, Lawrence O'Donnell, or Rachel Maddow. But one of the things that runs in contrast to that statement from Donald Trump, that lie, is the fact that he is watching. He is watching these hosts call him out, rip him to shreds, mock him, essentially to his face. And that is exactly what Lawrence O'Donnell and Rachel Maddow pointed out after pointing out that after watching this segment, Lawrence O'Donnell critiquing Donald Trump and his idiotic economic policies, he melted down. And I want to take a look at just how brutally they mocked him right here.
I'm thinking about expanding out into maybe a game show. I know everyone's doing a podcast. I'm going old school, thinking about a game show. And the game show would be, whose insult is it? And let's try it here, okay? Because I think you'd be a great contestant. So the insult is, here's the insult, okay? The insult is deranged bum. Now, the question is, whose insult is it? Who said it? Was it Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Krugman saying it about Donald Trump, or was it Donald Trump saying it about Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Krugman? And the insult, just to repeat it, is deranged bum. Okay, the clock is ticking. You have as long as you want.
Can I ask a qualifying question?
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Are either of the words in this insult inexplicably capitalized?
Yeah, one of them is, yeah. Not to mention.
Donald Trump's.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So it turns out he apparently, according to the Boston Globe reporting, it's because of what Professor Krugman said on this program last week that got Donald Trump really upset to that uncharacteristically crude of Donald Trump, really, deranged bum. So Professor Krugman's coming back tomorrow night So we'll
Very
see.
nice.
We'll see what
And,
happens.
hello, Mr. President. We've known for a long time that he watches. He's been kind of into you for a long time for, I think, different reasons than most of your fans are into you, but he kind of just can't quit you. So, Mr. President, welcome. I think the more you listen to Lawrence, the better. And so I just encourage you, whether it's hate watching or love watching, the country doesn't really care. But the more Donald Trump watches you, I think the better off we're going to be as a nation.
And Rachel, it's a really lovely and subtle tribute to the 20th anniversary of Brokeback Mountain that you got in there, which I really like. So here's what's great about it, okay? I think Professor Krugman was on Wednesday night talking about how deranged the Trump tariffs are and all this stuff. And it's not until about 4 days later or 5 days later that Donald Trump gets around maybe to seeing it because, maybe he wasn't watching live, but somehow he gets a look at it. And then we hear about it this way. And unfortunately, he had nothing to say about me. He said much worse about me back when he first started attacking me in 2011 when I said he was a liar about President Obama's birth certificate. He said just fantastic things about me on Twitter that I kept kind of egging him on, to continue saying, because I thought, how does that attention not help the show? And I think he figured out that it did help the show, and he quieted down.
MSNBC hosts Rachel Maddow and Lawrence O'Donnell taunted Donald Trump for lashing out at something he saw on O'Donnell's show, saying it proves that Trump can't quit watching the network he frequently attacks. Trump savaged Nobel economic laureate Paul Krugman as a Trump-deranged bum in a social media post over his criticism Krugman leveled in a 2-segment interview with O'Donnell last week, and then in a Substack post on Sunday. During the toss to Monday's night edition of MSNBC's The Last Word, the host took credit for the attack and gloated that it's proof Trump watches. "Hello, Mr. President," Maddow said, adding that Trump has been kind of into you for a long time for, I think, different reasons than most of your fans are into you, but he's kind of just can't quit you. Desperate Donald is not just desperate for attention, he's desperate to change the subject, and that's just not happening. Because as Donald Trump continues to put forth idiotic economic policy, we're going to be talking about it, obviously, as it affects us deeply, and especially as Donald Trump wants to, as he does with everything, change the subject, distract, or simply rewrite history, or now attempt to rewrite the present, rewrite what is before all of our eyes, and that is an economy in turmoil because of Donald Trump. Something he thinks he can get to go away if he just fudges the numbers. Carolyn Levitt was asked about that. Her response, it was exactly what you'd expect.
Nominee for BLS Commissioner E.J. Antoni recently told Fox Business that the BLS should suspend issuing monthly job reports and only issue quarterly reports until the jobs data methodology is corrected. So does the president disagree with that assessment that his nominee has said there, or suspending these monthly job reports a real option?
I think he floated the idea of possibly suspending until they can get the data and the methodology in order. And this president wants to ensure that the BLS, again, is putting out accurate and honest data that the American people can trust. Since you brought up the new commissioner, he holds a master's and doctor's degree in economics from Northern Illinois University. He's the chief economist in the Heritage Foundation's Center for the Federal Budget. And in addition to his work at Heritage, he has multiple other roles. He's been widely renowned for his work on economic issues. He's been called before Congress to testify as an economic expert. So he's a qualified individual, and the president trusts him to lead this important department.
This is not unexpected from Donald Trump, but interestingly goes against any effort to solve the actual problem. Donald Trump has destabilized the entire American economy, broken trust that any nation or financial institution can possibly have with our country, maybe because he's okay with that, and also because it allows the oligarchs who elected him to seize up public goods, privatize government programs. They like instability. Big corporations that need kind of a rock steady 4, 5, 6% year over year, they like that steady growth. Yes, stability is important for them. For the oligarchs, the Elons, the Zucks, the Peter Thiels, these people want to steal, want to rip apart, want to pick up the pieces of a broken government for their own financial gain. Donald Trump allows that to happen. And it's part of why we're seeing him decide that he's going to change the narrative by simply lying about the jobs numbers. He thinks that will fix it. He thinks if people who are unemployed or face higher costs because of his policy simply do not see that being reported in the news, maybe they won't feel it. But the problem for Donald Trump is they will see it every day when they do not have a job to go to, when prices are higher before them. That is not a narrative that you can spin. Sure, Donald Trump, if he wants to, and he will try, can lie and yell and scream and fearmonger about crime rampant in the big cities. Because people aren't in those big cities. Those that are, know it's a lie. But telling people things are affordable when they're not, that's a lie that doesn't work. And we've seen a lot of lies not work for MAGA lately. One of the worst, of course, is coming from Texas, but it's being taken down by James Tallarico.
But when you're winning in Illinois, you're happy to play by these rules.
Again, I've condemned all gerrymandering across the country. And in fact, when Democrats had a majority in Congress, they voted to ban gerrymandering in every state, red states and blue states. Do you know how many Republican members of Congress joined them in that effort?
Which one? I'm sorry. Which state did you just refer to?
I'm asking, do you know how many Republicans joined Democrats in the U.S. Congress to ban gerrymandering? All the Democrats voted for it. 0 Republicans voted for it. 0.
It's an odd.
So
it's an
this,
odd.
you can spare me the both sides rhetoric. It's clearly one side that is trying to rig the rules in the middle of the game. This is like 2 football teams coming out of the locker room at halftime, and the team that's ahead says they want to change the rules for the second half so they can win the game. All of us would be throwing food at the TV if that happened. We don't accept cheating in our politics. We don't accept cheating in our relationships. We shouldn't accept cheating in our elections.
You've done the same thing as us, and we are going to, by the way, if you do it, we're going to ratchet it up even more, in the words of Gavin Newsom.
My party has never gerrymandered in the middle of the decade at the request of the President of the United States, nor would we. The only way this is going to happen in blue states is if Texas executes this power grab. You mentioned Massachusetts. Do you know the party of the governor that signed that map into law? He was a Republican.
This is exactly the type of messaging that the Democratic Party needs, and I'm glad we're getting it right now. We're going to continue to elevate it on this show, and if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.